Hello and welcome to Left Coast Live. It is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, joined as always by the one and only Stat Pat Stateless Patriot. We are coming to you live from the left coast, talking to you about the presidential election. No surprise there. Only 2 weeks to go, Stat Pat. I have mentioned on the last show that I have anxiety about this election. I will until it's called. I've just decided that even someone as even as someone with such foresight as Michael Moore saying that Kamala is definitely gonna win because women turnout is gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced. I don't think that's a winner's attitude in this
sure.
situation when the outcome is ambiguous. And as we're going to look at the polls, the outcome is very hazy right now, according
It
to
really
these
is.
state by state specific polls. So I don't think there's reason to be confident yet. I think there's cautious optimism is fine, but we should not be throttling back or getting anywhere close to comfortable. This is not a
Yeah.
time to be comfortable. This is a time to embrace the fear of failure and motivate you to work harder and create rhetorical value. And that's what I think Kamala needs. One more in these next 2 weeks, hopefully this week, maybe next, one more really good, solid rhetorical moment, okay? Because we kind
Yeah.
of dipped with the Liz Cheney catering to Republicans too much. Now it's time to get back to your core and really make sure that your base is going to be coming out in suburban and urban areas in those battleground states.
Yeah. I think the s- the decision to play up the Cheney endorsement, both of the Cheneys, was just a big what the fuck. It's
Just too
like
much time. Why did they spend so much time on it? Like it was fine to
no
get it, but
kidding.
it's just like let it last a day and then move on.
Yeah, John Stewart when he had Tim Walz on, straight up called them on it.
Yeah,
It's like,
I saw that.
what is the point of this? Like we don't like this. We don't want this. Like what? Why? Why try it out? Why promote it to such a degree? You're alienating people because it's like that doesn't give your base hope. You want to energize your base. You want to increase turnout, not for crying out loud. Like I swear, it's like the Democrats never learn. It's always like appealing to the right. Oh, that's what will get us votes. No,
Independence. Yeah.
yeah, appeal to independents. Like what independents support the fucking Cheneys for crying out
No,
loud?
it's
They're not
non-voters.
popular.
It's the people that are
Yeah,
apathetic.
yeah,
Apathy is the enemy, not the Republican Party. It's the
y-
apathy.
yeah, yeah. Like kill that apathy. Go for the apathetic.
Well, I mean, we're not
Uh
even talking. The thing that's missing from the rhetoric for me right now is talking about winning and how
huh.
we win. And like, let's not just beat the Republicans. Let's crush conservatism. Let's not just put Trump in the rearview mirror. Let's put MAGA in the rearview mirror. And the best way to do that
Yeah,
is to pour it on. This is the University of Miami Hurricanes in the 1980s with Jimmy Johnson as their head coach. You pour it on till the end of the ball game.
yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. It's so frustrating. It's like there are 2 weeks, 2 fucking weeks until the election. There should be a sense of urgency,
Urgency, yeah.
like it's like you said with like you just mentioned it, and it's slipping my mind at the moment, but it's the idea that you're you need to appeal to non-voters, like period, full stop.
Fill out the paperwork.
Yeah,
Fill out the paperwork. The only thing that stands between you and getting Trump out of your life is filling out that
that's it.
goddamn ballot. Because people say,
Yes,
oh, it's a ballot, it's a ballot, it's a ballot. I don't care what it's called. It's paperwork.
yeah.
And people hate paperwork.
No,
And
it's
it's
the
just like you
easiest
got to,
thing ever.
and it's so easy. And that's what they got to say. Like,
Hmm.
here's some websites that'll walk you through how to do it. Here's some
Yeah.
videos. There should be a California Democratic Party video that I can Google search and tells me how to vote and why. And it's just not. I don't see that happening. I went on. You know who I looked up recently was Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, California. She has a YouTube channel that's got fewer subscribers than me. She's got like 140 subscribers or something. I'm like, you're the Lieutenant Governor of California. What is your problem? Make your
How the
presence known.
hell?
Add value. What value are you bringing to the population of California? You're getting paid. Do something with your time.
No,
And
no
a media
kidding.
presence. When you're a lieutenant governor of California, one thing you do have is access. People will call you back. People will give you the time of day. So,
Yeah.
there's just a serious lack of creativity. And to your point about what happens after Labor Day with Democratic Party leadership, and this is what happens to people when they're scared in general. They restrict their creativity. They go backwards into archetypal, people call it reptilian thinking, and do the easiest, simplest course of action, not necessarily the best course of action.
Yeah.
Because as Steve Jobs taught us in the world of consumerism, sometimes the public doesn't know what it wants. You have to invent something, and then they realize they want it. For example, like Kamala could be going after younger voters right now with more comprehensive student loan debt forgiveness.
Hmm.
It would be
Yeah.
such an easy play right now. Kids just got back into school, or they've been back in school for a while. Like it's people are still dealing with their student loan debt. Biden's student loan debt relief wasn't enough. We knew it wasn't going to be enough when it was passed, and Ted Cruz tried to hijack it in the court system. But anyway, yeah. So I wish there was more bold leadership, right?
Yeah.
Like they were forced
It's the
into
least we can ask for.
they were forced into getting rid of Biden because of his abysmal debate performance. One of the great historical wrinkles, by the way, in the history of American elections. That if that debate doesn't happen, who knows if he's still our nominee right now?
Yeah, no kidding. Like it'd be what a horrifying thought. Honestly, I'm glad that debate happened. To be honest, like me and the girlfriend we were actually watching some memes on YouTube last night, just to get some laughs and whatnot, and came across one of my favorite Joe Biden meme videos, and like she couldn't help but remark, it's like I still can't believe that that guy was president. That's like elder abuse. Like he's just a poor old guy. Like
Yeah.
he shouldn't even have been president. It's just like
Yep.
no kidding. It's like most people thought the same thing, and like if anything, it was that like because like one if you look at all the polls, one of the biggest issues was Joe Biden's age. People thought he was just too old for the job. It's just like yeah,
And
yeah,
he
no
was too
kidding.
old for the job.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
Bibi
so is
Netanyahu
Trump.
ran all over him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now it's like Trump's not much younger than him. Like people should look at like if that's such a deal breaker, then consider Trump's age as well. But it's a whole different dynamic when it comes to Republicans.
Yeah, Republicans, you can be an idiot, you can be
Mhm.
a failure, you can be a whatever, as long as the powers that be within the GOP want you to be the nominee, you can be the nominee. The thing that separates Trump from previous Republican nominees for president is that he really did hijack the party. He really stood against the party elders and took control of the party and made it his. And that's why if you're going to make this pitch to anti-Trump Republicans and independents, be explicit about it. And you can
Yeah.
do both at the same time, can't you? With my right hand, I reach out to Republicans who hate Trump and realize that we can work together and be on the same team and that you're not betraying anybody by voting Democrat. And with my left hand, I'm going to reach out to the progressives who are younger and more worried about things like climate change and student loan debt relief and restructuring our immigration system, although that's like we've talked about, that is the blood sacrifice of the Democratic Party is immigration.
Yeah, yeah. I like what you said earlier about leaving MAGA behind, leave it in the rearview mirror. Crafting a message like that could sell. Um, of course, you're gonna have the dishonest, fucking grifting asshole, terminally online idiots go like, Kamala Harris doesn't believe in making America great again and whatnot. It's just like, like weeding out the extremism it should be a priority no matter what side you're on honestly, like, for crying out loud, we shouldn't have FEMA workers trying to restore the damaged areas from Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton just because they believed in some QAnon bullshit or some shit that some MAGA idiots were spraying on Facebook and whatnot. It's like this shit needs to be tackled like from the inside out, and like, how can you disagree with that? Like, it's harming not just like the other side, only the libs or whatever the fuck. It's harming your movement as well. It You're not convincing anybody
Right.
because this is what they see out in public. Because conspiracies convince the most lunatic minded who buy into all of the MAGA extremism, conspiracy nonsense, and bullshit to harm people. Like, it creates real world harm, and people like normal Americans, they see that it's like this isn't for me. I can't subscribe to that. It's like,
And that's
yeah,
where I think
flowery
Kamala
rhetoric.
falls short. That's where
Yeah.
I think she falls short in her ethos is unlike Obama who felt like he was giving you the truth,
Hmm.
and a lot of times maybe it wasn't, but at least it felt like he knew what he was doing and had a vision for the future, knew what that vision would be and how much of it he could get done in his time as president. Her, because partly she didn't have as much time on the campaign trail, but also just because I don't know if she really stands for anything other than winning, because she's gone back on so many things.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I don't expect her to get through to those independent voters and anti-Trump Republicans as someone
Hmm.
that's going to be tough. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what those voters have an issue with culturally with the Democratic Party is they look at the Democratic Party as a bunch of soft losers. And
Yeah.
they're not necessarily wrong. I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about it when we talk about being tough in this country. It's not like the blue states aren't tough. Plenty of
Right.
toughness in the blue states. It's not
Yeah.
translating into our political leaders though.
Yeah. Ultimately, flowery rhetoric and like even patriotic rhetoric and whatnot, it only gets you so far. Like, it needs to be backed up with substance.
Right.
Like the right wing is just fucking. There's an abundance of one-liners, talking points, quick little statements, that are supposed to make a point, but are just like mantras, just for people to mindlessly repeat, to virtue signal to other rightoids and whatnot that you're on their side and whatnot. It's like it doesn't have there doesn't have to be substance behind it. It doesn't matter if it can be easily deconstructed. People don't even want to fucking hear that shit a lot of the
Right.
time. It's super frustrating, and so it's like there are some talented people. I mean, whether it be on the left or actual liberals that are good at tackling that shit. The Daily
Right.
Show's great. Pete Buttigieg for you know his shortcomings has been effective at that.
Yeah.
Kamala needs to fucking get on that shit. Like, she really needs to be forceful and forthcoming and like be in a space that speaks directly to the people that are susceptible to these talking points, to these one-liners, that to these cliches and shit that MAGA has been trotting out for the past 8 years. It's really frustrating that that hasn't been a more prominent in this campaign season. It's been a big balancing act of like, oh, we need to appeal to the non-MAGA Republicans and the anti-Trump Republicans and whatnot, but also like maintain our base at the same time. It's like the race shouldn't even be this close to begin with. Like
Right.
it's so stress inducing. The fact that the polls continue to tighten in all the swing states, the fact that it's basically even like across the board. I mean, let alone like put aside the fact that this election comes down to like 7 different states or whatever the fuck. It should there should be a lot more focus on appealing to energizing not just your base but likely voters or first time voters, for crying out loud. And I was watching Sam Seder earlier today, and it's like, this is I mean, because there's a whole slew of things, right? There are things that may go in Trump's favor that are swinging the polls his way, and there are a few things that Harris does have going for her. And it doesn't. Neither one of them have to do exactly with Trump or Harris themselves, but Trump is losing non-college white men.
Really?
They are polling at even lower levels than 2020. In 2020, he was when it came to the election results, he didn't maintain as many of them as he did in 2016. Well, at least as a percentage, because he did get 13 million more votes or some shit like that. But that demographic is actually slipping, and pair that with white women in general, that may be something that's not being taken into
Yeah, I had no
consideration.
idea about that.
Yeah,
I had no idea about that.
yeah, like 3% less than 2020, which was 3% less than 2016. And
Well, it would be interesting to see
was
him lose the election because he lost a chunk of his base. I mean, that would be going in
Mhm.
keeping with our vibe analysis, which is during the debates, people are just tired of the immigration routine. People are
Yeah,
just tired of the xenophobia. He's
yeah,
just a bad stand-up comic where everyone's heard his routine and it was like kind of working at the beginning, not really ever great, but was kind of working. And then after a while, I was like, dude, really, this is all you got?
yeah,
Like
no kidding.
you keep doing the
Another,
same fucking jokes.
another interesting tidbit about that is between Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I think out of the electorate, I'm pretty sure it's like the act like registered voters. I could be wrong about that, but 51% of them of the electorate in those states, don't quote me on that, is non-college educated white men,
Right.
or I think it might just be non-college educated whites, but like that's a big chunk of the electorate that he really can't afford to lose. So it, if we hold Pennsylvania, it's actually looking a little bit better for Kamala Harris actually. Um, but her support is slipping in Michigan and Wisconsin a little bit. She needs to maintain all three of those to win. So, and that's
Yeah, should we get into the polls?
sure we should. And so like when it comes down to it, the election is going to be way too close for comfort to begin with. Like even if she holds on to all three and loses all four of the remaining swing states, that opens up the door for challenges, and it could go to the Supreme Court, and it'd just be a total fucking chaos for a full day, maybe even after the election that takes place, maybe
All
even
right,
2 days.
so Wisconsin. This is Wisconsin.
Hmm.
No reason to become. These are throwaway polls at the top here.
Hmm.
Redfield is also usually a biased poll towards Trump, but even they had Harris at +1. Margin of
Probably good.
error
Yeah.
results, so nothing to be too excited about. The
Okay.
Bullfinch group has Harris at
Likely
+2 and
voters.
+3, as well as Baldwin +4. So that's encouraging to see Baldwin. Hopefully he wins that
Yeah.
Senate
Oh
race.
yeah.
And then this was the big poll. Atlas Intel came out with some big numbers. This was only 932 likely voters had Harris at +1, so another margin of error poll. But pay attention to Atlas Intel because they have some interesting results. Wisconsin. Let's do Michigan.
Hmm.
Neighbor. Let's just do the Rust Belt. So Trafalgar, who cares? Redfield is biased. It has it as an even. Triple C targeting and analytical department. That's not the same. Okay, Atlas Intel, 1,500 likely voters, and it has
Yeah.
Trump +3.
Whereas their poll that they had that we just saw in Wisconsin had Harris up 1 or 2.
In Wisconsin, which is really hard to believe. Then there's the
Yeah.
Bullfinch group. Then there's the Bullfinch group, which is
Har-
completely different. Harris
Yeah.
+8, outside of the margin of error.
That's insane. Yeah.
So one
Like-
of these research groups should just not be taken seriously. I guess we'll find out on election day.
yeah, no
But
kidding.
the Bullfinch group, with a pretty confident, I mean, they have almost, they have less than half of the sample size of Atlas Intel.
Yeah.
So weird. Atlas Intel may be biased. I didn't think so, but let's see what they got for Pennsylvania. We'll finish off the Rust Belt here. Trafalgar has Trump up 3, but that's a bias poll. Redfield's also pretty biased, but it has it at even. Atlas Intel, 2,000 likely voters, Trump +3. Yeah, Atlas Intel must be biased towards Trump, even though it had Harris up 1 in Wisconsin. So Atlas
Yeah.
Intel, have you ever
Interesting.
heard of Atlas Intel? Have
I
you
don't-
seen them?
I don't think I have. No.
I don't think we've seen them before. I know we've seen the Bullfinch group,
Yes, we have.
but I don't think we've ever seen Atlas Intel.
Atlas
anyway,
Intel.
And then
USA
down here, look at
National.
their Senate race, too. Atlas Intel, 2,000 likely voters, and they've got McCormick +1, whereas the Bullfinch group has Casey at +7. I know you
Yeah.
never really are inclined to believe this poll with less than half the number of voters being surveyed, but I'm inclined to say that the Bullfinch group is more respectable here than Atlas Intel.
Yeah, looking at it, it says, Atlas Intel conducts public polls, nationally represented polls conducted using its proprietary data collection technology and post stratification algorithms.
Yeah, so these
So-
are not 2,000 quality
Mm.
voters. There's something about their sampling that skews them. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. So still, though, not comfortable. Pennsylvania's not comfortable. At least Pennsylvania's not as comfortable. Let's go back. Bullfinch group has Harris up
Right.
1. So even if we believe the Bullfinch group, she's only up 1 or she's tied. So margin of error poll again.
Looks
So-
like Atlas Intel is actually, I think they're Mexican based. Looks like it. Or,
Oh, really? Interesting.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so that's
it-
Pennsylvania. Let's do the ones that I'm pretty sure are going to go to Trump. All right,
Let's
so
do Arizona.
Arizona, insider advantage, which I think we have had respect for. Trump
Mhm.
+3. High ground, never heard of it. Trump +1. Redfield is usually biased, but I don't know. +3.
Yeah.
And then there's the Atlas Intel, which has it
Then
at
pretty much even,
and
yeah.
Trump +1. So their polling's all over the place.
Yeah.
YouGov
CBS, Trump
has
+3.
Trump +3. So that means to me that we should just go ahead and arithmetically predict that Arizona will be Trump's, along with, unfortunately, I think Georgia's also probably going back red. This is Redfield, Trump +1, Atlas Intel, Trump +2, +1, +1, but it's all margin of error. And then there's some interesting Tip Insights polls, and the University of Georgia, which the University of Georgia is the one that makes me the most nervous because it's got Trump +4.
Mhm.
Whereas the Tip Insights would have you believe Harris. So, I mean, anybody who tells
And those
you
yeah.
that they know how to look at this data and they can tell you where the race is actually at is kidding themselves. There's too much data. There's
Yeah.
too much.
And it goes either way too. Like
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
on either side of it. It's on both
Yeah.
sides. But sometimes you think they're being mostly I think these are being sampled in favor of Trump because everyone's scared of making a
Right.
mistake like 2016 or whatever. North
Yeah.
Carolina. North Carolina. Now, this is the one that Dems should be optimistic about. We'll talk about it when we get over to the 270 arithmetic.
mhm.
North Carolina, according to most polls. Oh, wait a second. This is Redfield, Trump +2, Redfield, Trump +3. Atlas Intel has Harris winning, and Morning
Okay.
Consult had Trump +1. So North Carolina is the one that can make up for if she loses. If she loses,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, yeah, the Pennsylvania problem, as we've called it. Insider
Hmm.
Advantage has Nevada as even. So Atlas Intel has it at even. Nevada, Morning Consult, Harris +4. That was 7 days ago.
Hmm.
I mean, I think she's gonna get Nevada. So let's
I
go
think.
to 270 and talk about these states. Okay,
Hmm.
so we're gonna go ahead and give Arizona and Georgia to Trump. All right, we're gonna give Wisconsin and Michigan to Harris. All right,
Hmm.
now if she wins Pennsylvania, as everybody knows, it's all over,
Yeah.
barring catastrophe in Maine and Nebraska. That,
Yeah.
um,
Right.
but anything's possible.
Uh-huh.
Um, if so, this is the scenario planning, right? Good scenario planning is based on worst case scenarios. It is not based on best case scenarios. So this is
Right.
actually not worst case scenario because she's winning Michigan and Wisconsin.
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin have gone the same way since the end of the Cold War for president.
Hmm.
That might not happen this time because this time is unique. We haven't seen this before since Nixon, where somebody who lost the race for president is running again. That's and
Right.
that hasn't happened since Grover Cleveland, where it was
Yes.
someone who actually won the presidency.
Right. Yeah.
So that unique circumstance makes me believe that this pattern is being capable of upsetting.
Hmm.
And let's just go ahead. And I'm just saying they can only do so much with their resources, right? So
Sure.
let's give Pennsylvania to the Republicans. Now it comes down to Nevada and North Carolina.
Hmm.
She's got to win both. All Trump has to do is win Nevada, and it's over.
Yeah. Or North Carolina, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we
Yeah.
won't know about it. But North Carolina has a weird counting system. They're going to be one of the last states to come in. They won't be in
Right.
until like midday the next day, probably.
I'm just hoping
Um,
like post disaster, because we talked about it last stream, you know, maybe it does sway a lot of the electorate in North Carolina because who's gonna who do you think who's guaranteed to make sure that FEMA funding goes through? The Democrats. The Republicans have signaled and openly stated
and why aren't we
that
talking about that? Why aren't we talking about
yeah,
how Biden wanted to bring everyone back to fund FEMA and they wouldn't do it? Like,
yeah, that
let's
should
make a
be
point. Everybody should
yeah.
know that.
Who gives a fuck if you throw the Republicans under the bus? Like people are struggling, and like the entire communities have been decimated. It's like you could you could do more, but the Congress won't reconvene. But I mean, it ultimately isn't exactly up to the president because separation of the powers and whatnot. But like still, why give the Republicans power if they don't give a fuck?
Yeah, so this is the alternative map. The question is like, according to political science arithmetic,
Hmm.
this map shouldn't happen. You
Yeah,
shouldn't see a state as far north as Pennsylvania go red
yeah,
when a state
yeah.
as southern as North Carolina go blue.
Right. No kidding.
The thing that makes North Carolina special, yeah, it's a little bit of the research triangle in Raleigh Durham, but it's actually Charlotte. Charlotte
Uh huh.
is the second largest city in the South behind Atlanta. A lot of people don't know that. It's a
Interesting.
huge center. Yeah, Bank of America has a huge office there. It's a
Mm.
really important city in terms of America's economy. You just wouldn't know it unless you've gotten your hands dirty in understanding how the American economy works and where banking centers are. But
Yeah.
yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina, man, big time, big deal. So we'll see what kind of um, counting mix up. I could see this election coming down to that. I could see
Yeah.
that being the next Florida or what Georgia was in the last election.
Right.
So that's my arithmetic, man. Do you see any other scenarios here? I mean, if she loses, obviously, if she loses Michigan or Wisconsin, it's over.
Yeah.
Because if she loses either one of those, that means she's definitely not winning North Carolina.
If she okay, so this current scenario, if she doesn't get Pennsylvania but gets
Right.
North Carolina and Nevada, if she loses either Wisconsin or Michigan, she needs Georgia. Or if she loses Wisconsin, she
Right. And
needs
this is not going to
Arizona.
happen.
Right.
There's just not, unless something big happens
Yeah.
that we cannot predict, the October
Mhm.
surprise. It's October 22nd, so we still got 9 days left. But unless there's some sort of weird October surprise in Kamala's favor,
Mhm.
I don't see how she wins Georgia and Arizona. I think we're on the path to mediocrity. That's what this
Right.
campaign has become. I don't care what other left-wing commentators are talking about how good of a job she's doing. I don't think so. It's not good enough. It's not good
Right.
enough for me. I don't think that I know that the ground game is helping, I guess, but presidential politics is more about mass media than anything else. I mean, these events matter. Like, the events matter. Them going and
Mhm.
making appearances in these states matter. But I'm not so sure that for president, knocking on doors is really going to make a big difference. Maybe with get out the vote, but I think you're better off focusing on media and endorsements and appearances.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Have we had enough of that, of the map?
Yeah,
Because I just can't see any other
ultimately,
scenario where Trump wins. I mean, if Trump gets North Carolina, then she's got to get Pennsylvania.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
I think she'll get Nevada.
She
I
will.
feel like Nevada, Vegas has really come a long way. Vegas has like dealt with its poverty because it's bad for business. So Vegas was like, we're gonna make sure we don't have like bums
Yeah.
on the streets of Vegas because it's bad for business. So
N-
it's not necessarily that their heart was in the right place, but they have cleaned it up. I mean, Vegas like is a place my dad hated Vegas when I was a kid. I bet he'd
mhm.
like it. I bet if I took him now, I bet he'd enjoy it.
Yeah, not to mention the Democratic Party of Nevada has got swung a
Really
lot
strong.
more progressive
Really
the
strong.
past few years. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I knew
So
some people involved with them in Reno. Yeah.
yeah, regardless, we should expect a couple of these states, a few of them maybe, to be decided by.
Less than 1%.
Oh no, like of course, but I'm talking about like maybe by three digits, like within like a few
Oh,
hundred
less than a
votes.
thousand votes.
Yeah, less than 1,000 votes. That might very well be, the circumstances of
Yeah.
by which these states are determined.
Yes.
Like I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
I think that's
It's
much
a
more
scary
likely to
thing.
happen in a state like Arizona, Georgia,
North
North
Carolina.
Carolina.
Yeah.
I think if she wins in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, she'll win comfortably.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is just really surprising to me. They are really into fracking and
Uh huh.
they seem I don't know what Pennsylvania people are like. I don't really know
It's
too many people from there. They seem I know people from Philly, but that's like
uh
its own
huh.
universe. It's probably like
No, of
Massachusetts where
course.
everybody hates from people from Boston. You know what I mean?
Like it's definitely like there's you can find like any walk of life in Pennsylvania. Honestly, it's if
Right.
like from what I understand, it's a very interesting state. Like you'll get like the crazies and like the southerner types. Then you get like the fucking city slickers and the urbanites and the suburbanites. It's it's a
Just a weird
really
mix of Midwest in Pittsburgh,
and
and then you've got like the
it's like
corridor in
yeah,
Philly,
it's like it's just so
the spectrum.
uncomfortably evenly split between Republican and Democrat. Um,
Yeah.
Megan says easy to see North go red and South go blue with the internet. Yeah, the internet having a
What would
big
be? Oh,
effect on
Michael
whatnot.
Siebert wants to know what would be happening right now if Biden never dropped out. We'd all be preparing ourselves for a Trump presidency
Yeah,
because there's no way in hell
no
he'd win.
doubt. No, yeah,
He maybe would have
Democratic
dropped
Party.
out for another reason at some point, but he took his damn time dropping out. There are people calling for him to
Yeah,
drop out before that debate
long
performance, and the
before.
debate performance really just kind of showed everybody what people like Stat Pat and here I already knew,
Yeah.
which was that the man had senility. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just he's getting old, like, and that job
Yeah,
is really demanding. It makes everybody go gray. So,
for real.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
like,
he. I mean, they're probably. I mean, the Democrats will be melting down without a doubt. There be more and more people over the course of time calling for him to drop out. Like, but if he was stingy enough to just ignore everybody, then who knows? But even before the debate, like there was a growing number of people calling for him to drop out, and like the debate was really the kicker. That was really like the straw that broke the camel's back, and
like
then
an anvil.
yeah, then what really threw it over the edge and was probably like the deal breaker, the decision maker, was when Biden caught COVID. That's probably like what made him decide, okay, all right, I need to step aside. You know, it's for the good of the country, blah blah blah. There are a lot of calls for me to resign and whatnot. And now he's just doing God knows what. Who fucking knows? So, but he's still president apparently.
Um, do you want to react to his appearance on Fox and Friends really quick? It's only 2 minutes
Uh,
long.
Biden's appearance on
No,
Trump's
Trump's.
appearance. Yeah,
Yeah,
we can do that.
because I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Real
The
quick.
president.
Yep.
When we were talking about the electoral map and whatnot,
Yep.
Megan says Jill Stein effect question mark.
No,
There.
she's
I
dead.
mean,
She's a corpse. No, only
right,
maybe in Michigan, but
mhm, right,
probably not.
right. Yeah, it's. I can't. I mean, I know Twitter.
She's so stale. If it was someone new and exciting, someone that knew how to like get into the media cycle, then maybe I'd be worried. But no, I'm not worried. Of all the variables here that are in play, Jill Stein is not even in consideration for me.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter will probably make it seem like that's the case, and all the people riding her coattails and whatnot. But I don't know how much of an effect that she'll be in comparison to the last couple elections. I mean, there is a very loud, movement of people that are proudly casting their vote for her
Yeah, I
in
know.
in defiance of the Democratic Party
Like
and
Brianna
their
Joy Gray, right?
right, yeah, and their lack of opposition, lack of meaningful opposition to the genocide in Gaza. So I mean, that's probably where a lot of it is coming from. Like also, earlier I mentioned I was watching Sam Cedar, and he does believe that if the election does end up going to Trump, based on the results of these swing states, Kamala refusing or neglecting, I guess, to differentiate herself policy wise, strategy wise from Biden, specifically on the issue of Gaza, is going to be gives what would give the election over to Trump. A lack of meaningful differentiation, that's that's hurting her. It's like we can see it right now, and like if it ends up if it does end up giving it to Trump, she has no one to, like the Democrats have no one else to blame but themselves on that, and refusing to change. But
And
they don't
she
want to hurt. They don't
could.
want to hurt Biden's feelings. They don't want. They don't want. They don't want to make it seem like they're in defiance of the head of their party, because Biden really is the head of their party still right now.
He still is, and they don't want to acknowledge that. They want to act like Kamala's been president for the last 3 years. Both sides apparently want to. She still has not said anything to the effect of, I've only been the vice president, and I haven't had all of the power to do everything I want. And there are
Right.
certain leaders in the Middle East that are creating a lot of problems that, when I become president, are going to get dealt with. But I can't
Yeah.
deal with them until I'm president. But trust
Yeah.
me, they will get dealt with. Like talking like that, speaking
Uh
with
huh.
like an authoritative tone. Like that's how I would be coaching her.
Yes. Issue with that is like it's kind of a non-starter for Democratic strategists, not to mention people who would align with Democrats, because that kind of rhetoric turns them off. They are so fucking scared and pussy whipped on the in the aspect of actually wielding power and making veiled threats like that. It's like, and not to mention it could backfire on them because like I mean, of course the Republicans are super drawn to that, like that kind of authoritative speaking, that kind of like we will whip the fucking Middle East back into shape. They're bad actors and bad players out there that don't align with, you know, U.S. imperialist dogma. Of course, they wouldn't actually say that, but like because it's a Democrat saying that, they will be like they will start sounding the alarms, you know. But I mean, but of course they sound the alarms about the most fucking medial, trivial shit anyway. So it's a gamble, but like that's kind of how it would be perceived. But I don't disagree with you. That kind of forceful, you know, authoritative.
I just America wants its president to take control.
Yeah.
They want you to grab the wheel. And in that interview with Brett Baer, in the interview on 60 Minutes, which she got a lot of praise from left wing commentators for, and I thought her performance was very mediocre.
Hmm.
Um, she didn't really take control. And
Yeah.
it's a lot to do with, I hate to say it, talent.
Yeah.
Like she's just not that quick. She's not. I mean, I ran into people in the business world, and high level experienced professionals. They would communicate with tremendous insight and
Hmm.
polish and not miss a beat, and it was like so easy for them. It was
Of course.
obvious. They've been doing it for so long. This was
Comes
their
to them
job.
naturally. Yeah. Yeah.
Where I know she's gotten better
Hmm.
since 2000, or sorry, 2020,
Yeah.
but Jesus Christ, she's still not good. And anybody
Right.
who says that she is good is like, are they kidding themselves? I mean, do you think she's good? Like, am I out of my mind here? Am I just being a negative Nancy? What? Tell me.
She's better than she used to be, but like it.
But she's still not good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I will say, I
She's like a B
was.
minus. She's like a B minus. I thought she was
Mhm.
a B plus, and she's actually a B minus.
I mean, there. I mean, there are a couple like really standout things that come to mind. Her debate performance with Trump. I thought it was actually like really really good, and she kind of held his feet to the fire, and did come across
Yes.
as like being on top. Like she was basically like not like hitting home runs all night, basically. Also, more recently, I guess you could say, her appearance on Fox News talking to
Brett Baer.
Brett Baer, when she was shown the clip of Trump talking about like just basically downplaying or dismissing, you know, the enemy within rhetoric, she called that shit out right away. Like that's not the right clip. That's not what he was saying. He has been saying time and time again now, repeatedly at his rallies and then interviews and whatnot, and doubling down on using the U.S. military against American citizens,
Yeah.
referring to them as the enemy within. He doesn't see these people as fellow Americans. He sees them as enemies and whatnot. That's really important, and the fact that it was a Fox News audience too, because right wingers would
Oh
be
yeah.
seeing that and be like, oh, you know, like one can only hope like some minds were changed, or like at the very least it made people think or like reconsider. But more shit like that definitely needs to happen for sure, and I'm glad it happened on Fox of all places, because like it's one thing to like be come across as a bit more like in control and be a bit more of the position of president, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term. But to do that on
Presidential.
like more, yeah, exactly. But to do that on outlets that like people are more inclined to be in favor of you anyway. It's not going to go as far as it would on a right wing outlet. So, but
And
yeah,
that she's
two
doing
fucking
Fox
weeks.
News.
What's
That she's
that?
doing Fox News is in parallel with our analysis that she's going after
Mhm.
the anti-Trump Republicans, and she's going after the
Sure.
people that hate lefty media and hate CNN and hate MSNBC. I tell
Yeah.
you, if someone wanted to come along who had the financial resources to start up a new 24-hour news, like Midas Touch is kind of close online, but if you had like that in like a real full-scale 24-hour operation and take
Mhm.
on CNN and MSNBC, it's not hard. It's
Yeah.
really not. In terms of actually executing and building a network based on people that I have already thought about would be
Yeah.
fit into that network well. Like it sucks that TYT is in the way, and maybe we should talk about the landscape of the left wing media space for a minute because we've kind of stayed away from it. But
Mhm.
Anna Kasparian selling out and going to the right wing grift or the centrist grift and making an appearance on Jillian Michaels, which, by the way, Jillian Michaels, for those who don't know, is this self-made fitness entrepreneur that got rich off of looking pretty hot
Mhm.
and is one of those types that has the attitude of, well, if I can do it, anybody can,
It really
which
just
I
comes.
hate.
Yeah, ridiculous. It comes down to that classic Thought Slime tweet. Thought Slime's not really good leftist anyway. If your reason for going over to the right is because leftists were mean to you or
Right.
whatever, or like whatever the tweet is, you're weak minded. You were never really like leftists fight with each other all the time. Leftists hate
Right.
other leftists. Like how
Right.
weak do you have to be forced to the right because of what the left is doing? You don't have any
Right.
principles at that point. Like w- it's such a fuck. It's such a fucking frustrating ass. Like I, it could be a variety of things.
Money's probably the biggest
Money
thing. Yeah.
probably.
I mean, she's 40. She's my age, so she's
Yeah,
like, I mean, I feel it too. You guys start saving for
yeah. It's
retirement.
like what
You
kind
guys
of growth
start,
is
you want another car, you want another house, you got the
sure?
mortgage. Like
God,
if your income doesn't grow in the way that you think it should, when you're in your 40s, you start to get a little nervous and you want to make sure that you're going to be good for the rest of your life and you won't have to work forever. And if you got kids, you got to think about putting them through college, setting them up. And it
yeah.
just kind of never ends. It kind of never ends once you're in your 40s with kids. I don't think Anna has kids, but I thought that she would never really cross the line. We'll see how far she goes with it. But TYT, Jank, man, I mean, he's not Jimmy Dore, but I mean, haven't you realized, Jank, that you are not the leader? Like, haven't you
Yeah.
realized that your purpose is to support someone else? Like, I know it's your network, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to always be about you and your views. And like, I like John Iadarola; he's a nice guy,
Oh yeah, he's
but
great.
I'm not overly impressed with their talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
No. I
they
mean.
don't really have. They could have such smarter people.
Yeah.
Because they're a real operation. They're a real company.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. I mean, John Iadrola has the Danvers report. He's still like putting out fire tweets, or he's on Threads too and whatnot. And he nails it. He does what he has to do. Like putting myself in the shoes of Anna, it's like okay, TYT isn't really growing. They haven't had. They're not in their heyday anymore. They saw explosive growth in with the advent of Trump coming on the scene and whatnot. And there have been signs for the past year plus and whatnot of her being a bit more friendly to the right. And like one of the biggest reasons why, one of the biggest topics is trans people. You know,
Yeah.
she has been
Yeah, it's
a bit
weird.
more. It's fucking weird. She's been a bit
Why
more.
would you get distracted by that? And she's actually in line with my right wing magic trick analysis, which is that the culture war is just a distraction. They distract you They just over here. They
Yeah.
distract you with the culture war so that they can take your money when
Yeah.
you're not looking.
That's
Okay,
that's
that's what the
that's
tax cut. That's what their only agenda is: tax cuts.
and
I
that's
thought
the
she. I
thing.
mean, she just might not be that bright, man. I
I
don't
thought
know.
she
I
was
mean,
smarter than this,
yeah, I
and
don't
like
think
that
she's
was like
that
the
bright.
biggest like telltale sign of her shift to the right. It's just like,
Her
come
resume is not
on,
very impressive. I don't think she like. I mean, not
like
to be an
I can't
elitist or
I can't
anything, but
I
I
can't
don't
help
think
but
she went
think
to like.
like, what would Michael Brooks think? You know, like I this is it's like with her shift, like in recent times and whatnot. Like this, I can't help but think like this is like I haven't like missed the input of Michael Brooks like more than like this happened because like they were really close and like like his loss really affected her and he easily like I would put him against like pretty much any fucking leftist commentator across YouTube across the internet right now. It just in terms of sheer brilliance. I don't know if you watched much of him back in the day. He was the co-host of a Majority Report with Sam Seder before Emma Vigeland took
Yeah,
over,
dude, I
and he
love
had
Michael Brooks.
yeah, and of course he had the
Michael Brooks
Michael
was
Brockman
amazing.
show, of
Yeah.
course, and like
Oh, he was a
hella
huge
hella
loss. He
fucking
was a
funny.
huge loss, dude. I don't think the
Yeah,
left has recovered.
yeah,
We haven't
no,
recovered
for
since
real.
he died.
No,
No one's filled
I
his
couldn't
void.
agree more. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
like
I mean he was the paradigm, man. He was the
mhm.
guy that like other than Sam Cedar, he would have been my first choice to debate any conservative.
I couldn't
Um,
agree more. Yeah,
like I would actually pick him ahead of Sam Cedar. I think he was because he was more he talked faster. The
yeah,
Sam's secret weapon is his matter of fact pacing.
yeah.
And
No, yes,
Michael Brooks's secret weapon was his knowledge. I mean,
yes,
no one knew
yes.
more about the details of the issues than he did. I mean, I
Yeah,
really learned first about I don't want to say the evil, but it kind of has become evil, the moral depravity of Zionism and how Zionism has been used to justify not just this genocide, but many acts of violence in the past.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know the comprehensive history, but Michael Brooks did. And he was saying that all
big
these
time.
Palestinian Israeli conflicts, they're just the latest version of the same old thing.
Yeah, everything that's been happening, everything that everybody's been saying about the region, about the conflict, he's been years ahead of this. Like he's been talking about this accurately and succinctly his whole career. Like even up till his untimely passing, like you'd be hard pressed to find as many people as knowledgeable and informed. I mean, about most things because I mean his thing was like global issues and whatnot. He loved Lula da Silva, I believe his name was of Brazil, who now became president again, which is amazing. But especially on Israel Gaza, like you can refer to him for basically anything. If just to tie a bow on this, if I could ask fucking Anna Kasparian one thing, it would be what would Michael Brooks say about your current position on the left? Because like I think she like in no
She was
uncertain
trying to do a show
terms,
with him. She was trying to do a show with him, and she kind of
she
like she was
was.
devastated when he
Yeah,
died. I
no,
remember that
for real.
specifically.
It's like because I think she even said herself in no uncertain terms, I've left the left. I think she actually like
Yeah, no, she's done with
unironically
love.
stated that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
So she went to Cal State Northridge, then did a few small media jobs at some like KFBW, whatever, some
mhm.
local TV stuff. And then she started working at the Young Turks in 2007 on camera at 2007. Then she went back to Cal State Northridge where she got her BA in journalism. She went and got her master's in political science. And that was in 2010. So I hate to be a dick, but I don't care necessarily where you go to undergrad,
Mhm.
but if you expect me to see a master's in political science from Cal State Northridge and you expect me to be impressed, it's not going to happen because if you're getting your master's degree in political science and you're already on camera, why didn't you go get it at UCLA? Why didn't you go get it at USC? Why didn't you go? There's actually some really cool. There's a really cool Middlebury program here. Like there's a number of really great, high level, respected political science master's programs that are not Cal State Northridge. And if you're already working for a progressive network, are you kidding me? You don't think UCLA or USC, wouldn't have been glad to have her? It's weird. And I don't know why she didn't go for public policy. Why would you get it in political science and not public policy?
Well, I mean, it's not like a completely useless field to pursue. I mean, the
No, but they
AOC.
treat. But go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, I think AOC got her
She doesn't have a
doctorate,
master's.
master's.
Does she have a
No,
master's?
I'm not sure, but she did. She
I'm gonna
did.
look her up.
I think she got some sort of doctorate in political science, as far as I know, because that was her field when she went to college. But yeah, it's like w- I don't want to like psychoanalyze or anything like that, but I just can't help but like speculate what her motives are. Of, excuse me. Of course, I need to do a little bit more digging, especially when it comes to like other leftists that have covered her transition to the right, basically, because obviously the Vanguard guys have been notoriously going back and forth with her, and they've covered a lot of it as well, and I find that coverage very valuable. But it's like, do you have any principles at all? Like where does your morality actually lie? Like
Right.
like does empathy not drive your
Well, she got like held
activism?
up, right? She got like assaulted or something, but she
Yeah,
wasn't like. She just got robbed, right? She wasn't like seriously harmed,
yeah, and it's like
and it was a white guy, right?
I
I
think
think it was
so.
a white
Yeah,
guy.
like and
Yeah,
like
and
she
she's
had
allowing
these.
that personal experience to completely corrupt her way of
Yeah,
thinking about our society. It's
right.
really weird.
No, it is just like having the weirdest takes on homelessness now. It's like, okay, for like homelessness in a nutshell can be like it's like it's the hoarding of housing. It's treating housing like a commodity to be bought and sold and invested in and whatnot, like seeing if you get a return on it. There are more empty homes than homeless people in the United States, and also a lot of it has to do with like just rampant mental illness. Like
Yeah.
if you're struggling with like severe psychosis, schizophrenia, bipolar
Right.
disorder, that's going to affect like not only your ability to hold down a job, but your relationships with other people. So you can't rely on them because they can't. They don't trust you. They can't. They don't look at you as someone that can be stable, and so they end up homeless on the streets because they just burn so many bridges. Like my middle brother is like that. Like he, that's what you end up doing if you're mentally ill, and then like you can also tie in addiction to that, and like a lot of these people that not to mention that live out on the streets and whatnot. Sometimes they don't want to be helped. Sometimes they just reject the prospect of being properly housed. Like they don't want to live in a homeless shelter. They want they're it, it's just a variety of things. And if you think that the right wing has solutions for that are based in any amount of uh, empathy or consideration or compassion, like you're dead fucking wrong. It, I don't know what else to say to you. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. It's who knows what the true motivations are, but the
Yeah.
fact is she's doing it. She's moving across the line. She's crossing the picket line, so to speak. And after January 6th, I didn't think that anything like that would happen with someone like Anna, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
Whatever,
It's like
man.
I specifically remember her. Sorry, I'm plugging in the PC. I specifically
I mean,
remember
if Anna
her.
was going to become something special, though, like if she was going to become like the female Tucker Carlson of the left, it would have happened already. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right, yeah, and it's like, I mean, I haven't paid attention much to anything that TYT has covered for the past few years. Just like I would imagine that it's quite stale over there. So like, I mean, in a sense that's like that's like the only kind of sympathy that you'll get out of me when it comes to like someone in her position, you know. But at the same time, like you have to be consistent, you know. It's like what I I I I don't understand it.
It's probably the money.
Probably, yeah.
It's probably the
Honestly,
money. All right, let's do
yeah.
this Trump clip. I
Okay.
haven't seen this. He's such a douchebag. All right, let's see what we've got here.
You're gaining with minorities. And, you know, I've been going across the country to these barbershops. Yesterday, you said you wanted to go. So we went to the Bronx yesterday. Here's a little bit of what we saw at the barbershop.
You guys are the same as me. It's the same stuff. We were born the same way. I grew up in Queens and all of that. I mean, you know, it's. I had a great father. I had a
You
father who was a
fucking
great guy. He was tough but good, big heart, big heart. And he was a
racist.
construction guy, pretty much, and
was a
a real
slumlord.
estate guy. And I learned a
Yeah.
lot from him. He was great. But I know you people so well without knowing you. I know you
people.
so well. When I walked in here, I said, "This is home territory."
So, Mr. President, we're going to play the full thing on Monday. But what was that
Okay.
experience like? There was so much love in the
So
room.
just like right off the bat, it was like, oh, I was born the same as you guys. I'm just like you guys for real. It's just like you're not in a room full of millionaires, dude. It's like you had a net worth, but like by the time you
But that's
exited
what
your
they.
mother's
That's all they needed
womb,
for the soundbite. That's all they needed for the soundbite.
right?
All it needed was something to start. All it needed was something to start off the interview with. No one said anything. No one responded. There was some like, "Oh yeah, right." Like people will kind of bow to power when they're in the presence of it, and kind of keep their mouths shut. It's a conformity issue.
Yeah.
It was like people that I grew up with, actually.
Oh, yeah?
You know, all different types, everything perfect. The area was incredible. The traffic, there were thousands and many thousands of people standing outside this barbershop. The owner was great with the
Sure.
son. The son is actually the owner. He's already made that passage. But the people were fantastic. We could have stayed there for 2 hours, right? It was great.
Why do you think they're giving you a shot? They haven't voted for Republicans in years like this. So what are you doing on the ground differently that is
Yeah.
attracting black men, Hispanic men?
I just saw a Hispanic poll where I'm at 52%. Nobody's ever seen that before. Republicans never been there before. I'm at 52%.
Yeah, that's not
And
true.
with black men, I'm at 32% and 31%.
Story.
This is sort of throwing their formulas off a little bit. You know, this is a little bit of a
I
change. We ran a great country. We had everything going. The world respected us. We had no wars. This group will cause us World War III. They have no idea what they're doing. And, you know, I
Now,
hate
I'll
to talk
say
that way,
this.
but we can't let this woman.
I'll say like for whatever reason he does seem to be maintaining ground for lack of a better term for when it comes to Hispanics and the black vote, but he's losing white people.
Right.
Like what does that tell you? And like that is a much more substantial voting block than any other minority group. I'm obviously like minority group. Like it's like it's it's not just him, but Republicans like to tout this as well. It's like, oh, we have so many minority groups coming to our side because they're just tired of the Democrats. They're tired of the empty promises the Democrats make and whatnot. It's just like eh, I I I don't get it. I really don't. But like
It's two people.
You got something?
they have to trot out like the whole identity card as well. It's like it it's not even unique to Democrats. They have to play it up because they think it means something. It's just like, what value is there of trotting out, oh, this group of minorities and this group of minorities are coming for me or plan on voting for me. It's
Oh,
like,
well, that's part of the machine. So the strategy the strategy here with the minority vote and acting like he's growing with minorities, which maybe he is or isn't, it's marginal, whatever,
Uh-huh.
is they're trying to make it okay within those cultures. They're trying to say, yeah,
Yeah.
you're not alone. There are other black men out there. There are other Latino people out there that are voting for Trump. And you're not
Trying to
alone.
fit
You
in.
shouldn't feel embarrassed or ashamed about doing the same.
Yeah.
That's the subtext of this commentary is they're trying to get black America to be okay with voting for Trump, even though his father's business was very racist. I mean,
For real.
I've talked about it before. The easiest insult for Trump that should have just been used back in 2016 was he's a son of a slumlord. His
Yeah.
father was a slumlord.
Yeah,
Proof.
not to
Like-
mention, just recently, he has kind of reopened the whole Central Park 5 slander thing. He like it's to the point now where the Central Park 5 have had to come out and say and basically like defend their honor, defend their innocence and whatnot. And I think they actually opened up a case against Trump because he uh, for whatever fucking reason, brought them up again and brought up the same exact fucking lies, saying that they killed someone when they didn't, saying that someone was killed and no one was. It's like he can't help himself. He really
No.
it's like he's trying to salvage what he can, like and trying to make it seem like he's doing it in good faith with good graces and whatnot. But it's just like the fucking McDonald's thing. It's just a photo op. It's just
Yeah.
fluff. It's just fluff. It's just empty rhetoric.
Yep.
It's putting on a show.
And she's a very, and you talk about unstable. She's a whack job. And how about the vice president? How about Waltz? I mean, he's not qualified to be doing this. He is. I mean, you have to look at the vice president very
More
seriously. And you
qualified than
compare
you.
him and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, #1 at Yale. You know, the whole thing. I mean, high academic. I mean, J.D. is doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I mean, Blair.
and like,
and
did
he
did
talks
he even-
later about wanting to get rid of the Department of Education. I don't know if you saw that.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's in Project 2025, and it's like
Yeah.
part of the Republican agenda anyway. It's like, did he really? He didn't even really answer like the
No.
question, like, oh, like what are you doing differently? What's your ground game? Why are you attracting these particular types of voters here in New York and whatnot? It's like, oh, well, I got good poll numbers, you know, and just pulls a couple numbers out of his ass.
Because
It's
he's
just
not
like,
smart. He's
he's
an
not.
idiot.
he-
Like,
he's
who's
so
that
fucking
guy?
stupid.
Okay, so let me give you a guy named Rex Tillerson. Remember that guy?
I do remember
Came
that
out
guy.
of the oil world. He was a CEO of ExxonMobil, then became Secretary of State under Trump. Okay?
Yeah, hates his guts.
Obviously, I got a lot of issues with that guy right off the bat for what purpose he has served in our society, but I have no doubt that he is a hardworking, intelligent, capable man. You don't get to be CEO of one of the most powerful companies in the entire world without being at least a little bit talented. And a lot of leaders at that level will tell you that the key to success is surrounding yourself with really talented people too. So you learn how to evaluate talent. And Tillerson was one of the first people to get caught on a hot mic calling Trump a fucking idiot. And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I knew he wasn't that smart. I knew that they edited the fuck out of The Apprentice. When he was on TV, he would sit there and monologue for like 20 or 30 minutes. And then they
Sounds
would
about
edit
right.
they would edit that down to like 2 minutes and then use
God.
that. I mean-
That sounds like torture. I mean, I mean, it's no wonder that bait that Kamala Harris laid out in that in their debate
Yeah.
about going to one of his rallies and just watching as people like slowly leave like after like an hour and a half and whatnot, because it's like Trump just doesn't shut up. He'll just
No.
go on about literally whatever just filling the room with hot air. It doesn't matter if
No, he's
if
a
it makes
bullshit
sense or
artist,
not.
and he's
You
not
know,
that
of
good at it
course.
either. He's not
Yeah,
even good at it.
he thinks he's just bullshit his way to the presidency, and like fucking, he might. God damn it.
And that's
Um,
been his whole model in his business world, was to inflate the value of things and leverage against them. Talk a big game
Yeah.
about bringing the biggest casino to this and biggest hotel to that, and never delivering. And that's why he went bankrupt 6 times.
Yeah, for the longest time, it's that's just been how he is. I'm not shocked by that at all. Like, I mean, it's not just Rex Tillerson either. It's people who've been around him that like,
Millie.
yeah, like this guy's stupid. He shouldn't be anywhere near the presidency again. Like Mitch McConnell even has come out. I think he wrote in this book about just like how frustrating Trump is to just interact with, for crying out loud. Uh, Megan says, "How are you saying Project 2025 agenda when Trump clicks are like, I don't want to be involved. I won't even read it." Well, Megan, the thing about that is, when Project 2025 was being more widely reported on and picked up by media outlets, picked up by Democrats, and when it was starting to be talked about more, people like actually started looking into it. People actually like looked up the documents, and people started actually reading through it, because this was it's literally co-authored by hundreds of Trump officials, people who were in Trump's cabinet throughout his term as presidency. I think J.D. Vance even had he wrote the foreword to it, whatever. Like, it's chock full of like extreme, like far right like wishes and whatnot.
Book
But
banning.
yeah, among countless other things, you listen to any like far right MAGA type, or extremist Republican grift or whatever the fuck. It's a lot of shit that they agree with. It's a lot of shit that Trump agrees with and has like stated like many times before in the past. But the problem is, because it started becoming a lot more notorious and a lot more infamous, people turned on it. Like, the polls were taken, and like Trump cares about his polls. Like, that's like, he cites them all the time. He throws out numbers and shit. It's not a popular agenda. Project 2025
No.
is not popular in the slightest.
But it's
And
also
so,
not getting traction.
yeah,
It's also
yeah,
not getting traction. It's not
right,
sticking
yeah,
to him. Nothing
especially
sticks to
now.
him.
It's especially now, and like, if something's not popular, if people aren't vibing with it or whatever, Trump instinctively is going to distance himself from it. It's like when any of his cabinet members in the past have like uh, gone down for crimes or whatever. He's like, oh, I didn't know him that well. It's like, when you can look through like history and just listen to his own words and know that that's bullshit. Trump has spoken at Heritage Foundation events, and he said, "Oh, like, these guys, they're the future of America." Like, of course, I'm paraphrasing, but like, openly praises them, and like for crying out loud, they gave him like a list of justices to pick to put on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
The Heritage Foundation is deeply ingrained within the Republican Party, and they are the architects of Project 2025. So it doesn't matter if Trump says that he is like, doesn't want any part of it or doesn't know about it. It's total bullshit, because
Right.
like Agenda 47 or what the fuck is basically like a more compact, succinct version of it. It's not much different. It's just a smaller thing. But like, he'll defend that. It's just a marketing thing for him. He knows what's popular and what isn't. And he's not going to cling to something if he knows it's not popular. It's why he's gone back on the abortion thing. Like, 'cause at first he was like, I'm responsible for Roe v. Wade being overturned and whatnot, but
Right.
that's not popular, and
Right.
that's why there wasn't a red wave in 2022. The country isn't unified behind overturning Roe versus Wade, or
Right.
even implementing
It's actually very divided.
an
Most of
abortion.
the country, I
Yeah,
think 65% of the country, I think, is pro-choice.
yeah, and so like, he's in a really shitty position when it comes to that. It's like, he has to walk a fine line between like pleasing his base that want abortion just outright banned because of their opinions on it, and appeasing, you know, the women vote, and uh, saying that like, oh, this is how it should have been all along, states' rights and whatnot. And it's like your base doesn't want it to be left up to the states. If it's this moral, uh, ethical thing that abortion is murder and whatnot, you can't half-ass it. You can't like there can't be any middle ground on it if you're a Republican, if you are the head of the Republican ticket, and so that puts him in a really frustrating position because he knows it's unpopular to hold that position, while at the same time, it, like that's why he won't stick to it. Um, yeah,
Get some more love.
no, that's from Banning, who you mentioned. So she says, wait, he distanced himself from Bannon, who you mentioned that was in conjunction
Yes.
with the ideas Project 25. Yes, that's right as well. And Bannon's still
But
out
that's
there.
only
like,
publicly. Yeah, that's only publicly. Bannon has tremendous influence in right-wing circles. He's something of a godfather, I believe.
Yeah,
He
of
just
course.
knows he's so fucking smart. He knows
Yeah.
that his public presence was a liability. I think he got arrested, like paid some fines, like whatever. He's got plenty of money, so he's just gonna disappear and make phone calls, and he's like a Karl Rove. That's what Karl Rove is to the Bush family what Steve Bannon is to Trump.
Right.
There might be another person in there. I can't think of anybody as experienced and as brilliant as Steve Bannon that's on Trump's team. I really don't think there's anyone who's even close to as smart as Steve Bannon in that crew.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm inclined to agree with you. Megan says, I don't think putting abortion to states is a bad move with conservatives. After the overturning of Roe versus Wade, it's like the best they can do while also maintaining hope that they keep their seats, because the more vocal MAGA types, the more vocal far right Republicans, they're gonna typically say that it's not far enough. Like you need to ban
Right.
abortion outright,
Yeah.
outright, with no exceptions and whatnot. And sure, there are a lot of states that have a abortion ban after a certain period. After a certain amount of weeks.
12 weeks is right. Isn't that the
Right.
standard?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, at that point, it's like 12 weeks, 3 months. That's the first trimester. The overwhelming majority of abortions occur within that first trimester. So it's like it's
I
not
think it's
an
like
outright.
90%. I think it's like more than 90%.
Yeah, more than 90% for sure. It's like that's not good enough for a lot of the for a lot of Republican voters. So like like Roe
They
versus
don't care.
Wade was,
They don't care.
of course,
They don't
yeah,
want any. They don't want any exceptions.
yeah,
They think it's
yeah,
the people's problem. They don't. It's actually like it is a lot about life, but it's also for the Republicans. It's about sex,
yes,
and it's about their fear of sex,
yeah,
and they don't understand that sex isn't just for procreating. Um, and they
yeah,
don't agree with their fellow Americans' sexual viewpoints. A lot of
yeah.
them.
It's
And
just
they think that these pregnancies are the product of irresponsible sex,
yeah,
out of wedlock sex, even if that's not the case.
that's why
That's
they're
what they
going
think.
after. That's why they're going after birth control. They're going after
Right.
contraceptives. Like,
Yeah.
the more extreme examples of state side Republican parties that they've openly stated, like that they've openly signaled that they want to go after like condoms, birth control,
Yeah.
contraceptives, and whatnot.
The morning after
Um,
pill.
yeah. Well, let's see. Wait, are there any states with no abortion before 6 weeks? I don't think there is. She says every state with restrictions has exceptions written to the lotto. That's actually not true. There are, well, I think, I think right now there is, but there are at least a few states that are trying to push through bans with no exceptions, and
Yes,
maybe
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah, they're maybe successful
They haven't
in
happened yet, but there are a lot of ballots. But those are going to get defeated.
I think in Louisiana is one of them. You'll this is definitely taking place in states where the Republican Party has like a stronghold and have like no concern of being defeated or even primary for example, because it's like what i- is the Republican Party going to like primary you for doing what the rest of the party is doing in terms of passing an abortion ban or whatever. Um, it's it's something that's being pushed for sure, like no exceptions and whatnot, and
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
Matt
uh,
Walsh doesn't
uh,
believe in exceptions. So abortion is on the
yeah,
ballot in Florida, Maryland, New York, Missouri, Nebraska, South Dakota, Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, and Montana.
yeah. So it'll be up to the electorate or not whether or
It's a lot
not
of red states.
protections stay in place. Are you able to look up real quick which states are introducing uh, exception-free abortion bans? 'Cause I think there's at least two. I think Louisiana is one of them, but I think there's another state that was pushing for them.
Indiana, Idaho, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, West Virginia. And then some have abortion bans with exceptions, and that's Georgia, Florida, Utah, Missouri, Kentucky.
Wait, so the first list you named off were abortion bans with no exceptions?
Banned abortion or have near total bans in place. Indiana, Idaho, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee. Texas is the big one. West Virginia.
Right. I'm
Yeah,
interested
put
in
that
what
on
they
the
mean
ballot in
by
Texas, man. Then we'll see how politics change in Texas.
yeah. I'm
Because
interested
they
in
like to
what.
fuck in Texas.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm interested in what those near total bans, what exactly like that means, and which states
Well,
have those
Texas, for
implemented.
example, has a near total ban on abortion. West
Yeah,
Virginia, yeah, they all do. All the ones I just listed off. They're all
yeah,
red. Every single state is red.
yeah. No, of course,
Georgia's the only one listed on this thing that has
a
yeah,
ballot initiative.
Georgia has a 6 week ban on abortion. Florida has a 6 week ban on abortion.
Yeah,
Utah has 18 week. Oh, the Mormons are at least a little bit. There's 18 week.
right. Yeah,
So
interesting.
that's a long time.
That's well into the second term. Yeah,
Missouri has gestational limits at 8 and 14 weeks. Kentucky has exceptions for life and health.
but
That's
good for
ridiculous,
good for
though. This is just healthcare. Like, can't people mind their own goddamn
yeah,
business?
right. No kidding.
People
It's
can't
like
mind their own fucking business.
it's these states
It's
that have 6 week bans and whatnot, like they can't even like get the proper health care that they need because doctors fear that they will be prosecuted because it, like for the health of the mother, it doesn't even it's not even considered because it's like if any treatment is done that could be considered like or even accidentally results in the death of a fetus, even if it's non-viable, they can go to jail for that. That's why it's a lot. It's the mortality rate in a lot of these states for pregnant women has gone up drastically.
yeah.
Like these women have died. Like
Yes.
it's because Roe versus Wade was
Yes.
overturned,
Yeah. These
and you
these
know,
abortion bans are resulting in uh, bad pregnancies,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like people don't understand. I think definitely men are very ignorant as to how complicated pregnancy is.
no, for real. There's a lot that goes into it.
And we need to do a better job, men, of just kind of deferring to women on this
Yeah,
because it's their body and Most men I know don't even want to know about it. I'm like, fine, then vote Democrat so we can put this issue behind us. We thought it was behind us, and then you motherfuckers brought it back up. We thought that people say, oh, well, we got to overturn it. It's like, why? We had a ruling on it. We had a whole conversation back in the 60s about whether or not this is a viable form of healthcare, and we decided as a nation that it is.
Yeah.
And now you've dredging this up. It just makes everything more complicated.
No kidding.
It's
It's like
Just
the-
clogs.
these-
There's so many problems we should be talking about, but we're not because we're talking about abortion.
Yeah, because Republicans need. I mean, they have they're of the mantra. They're of the mindset to where we need more babies. Particularly we need more white babies because I think a lot of them subscribe to the Great Replacement theory. So it's like,
White genocide.
yeah, God, and so by turning this back over to the states, you know, you force more of the population to reproduce
Right.
when a lot of them either can't afford it, aren't ready, or were raped, or weren't planning on it, contraceptive didn't work, or whatever the fuck. It Another cog for the machine, contribute to the economy. By being a natural born citizen that isn't an immigrant, because it's like indisputable that immigrants are a net positive for the economy and bring in trillions for the GDP, I believe it is. I think it was a study saying over the next 10 years that that immigration will contribute, I think, like $1 trillion to the economy, just alone. But yeah, like a 6-week abortion ban is basically like a near total ban because you don't know you're pregnant that soon. So there's nothing you can do about it other than travel to another state to get it done because oops, not ready for a kid. Oops, can't afford a kid. Oops, you were raped. And some states are even trying to ban travel between states to get that done. It's it's just healthcare. It's just healthcare, and the government should not have um, any dictation over the bodily autonomy of women or men, for that matter. But yeah,
I mean, you can't even get these people to be okay with the morning after pill. So anybody who thinks that you're going to be able to reason
yeah.
with
Plan
these
B,
folks is
Plan
just-
B would be.
That's what
banned as
worries
well.
me about Kamala's like Cheney inclusion moment and the idea that she's going to have a Republican in her cabinet. I mean, why? Are we really trying to make bipartisanship work? I mean, are we really that insecure about our own ability to create a political wave of change? I mean, because that's
Right.
how change really happens. Is it happens in a huge wave, and sometimes it takes like civil rights. It took forever for that wave to build, but when it did, they finally got at least some of what they wanted. They got respect. They didn't get the legislation that they needed, but they got a lot of what they asked for.
Yeah.
And other movements are good. The gay rights. I mean, it was a long time, but then the
Yeah.
right moment happened, and they got gay marriage. That's now up for grabs, according to 2025.
Yep. You thank the Supreme Court for that too. They're signaling that like it's on the chopping block, and so is whatever the case was that decided that interracial marriage was okay too. That might be in jeopardy as well. Fucking scary
Wow.
times, no matter who wins.
Stone
Yeah.
Age. Stone Age.
God, no kidding. Want to end on something fun?
Yeah.
I heard that Tim Pool had a gigantic meltdown over technical issues and went on a 2-hour rant about, I guess, ending his show entirely and something along those lines. I guess we could find like maybe a clip of it. I'm sure someone covered it.
Yeah. I'll do. Here,
I
hold
guess
on.
I guess it like just happened too recently.
Emily is like, I am under no illusions that I have the capability to make this company what it could be. And I hear all
Oh,
these
the
like, no, Tim,
quartering.
you're wrong. Oh, come on. We've been trying to get a coffee shop open for 2 years. Clearly, I cannot do it. My feelings are not hurt when I'm like, "Oh, I can do it." We've gotten to a point in the company where everyone's kind of just kicked their feet up and said, "I'm doing what I need to be doing," and then that just means I'm Sisyphus pushing the rock up. The problem is people are sitting on the rock.
Losing his mind. And I'm reaping all the vengeance.
What's up, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and last night sent some shockwaves through the content commentator space 50,000 setting, something I have many years' experience doing.
All right, just show him losing it, bro. Oh.
What is this?
Backup webcams, backup sound mixing board, backup microphones, all with the right people. I didn't pull that laundry. He literally has to have that house because people need to.
All right, fuck him. I'm not listening
Yeah,
to that
right.
guy. Tim
Right.
Pool, Tim Cash Show, blames everyone but himself, has hilarious meltdown, fires everyone.
There we go.
Soy on the internet nowadays. Maybe Donald Trump decided to troll Kamala Harris for lying about working at McDonald's and did a great publicity stunt by working in McDonald's for a few minutes, and you are seething. So you have to go online
Shut
and tell
the
everyone.
fuck
Actually, Donald Trump
up.
didn't fill out an application
God,
to have an interview.
so
He wasn't
unoriginal.
an employee of McDonald's. Man, whoops, not by such an probably be wrong. To this
this guy-
day, what it is to have a podcast. He hasn't seen a well.
It's
Tim
just
Pool and his
commentary.
Galaxy
God
Brain
damn it.
Pod
Sorry,
got
man.
bamboozled by
Right.
a
It's all good. It's it checks out. Let's see. Majority
Tim Pool
Report.
suffers.
No, that's 7 months ago. Never mind.
Yeah, it's not the same one.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's on that.
Yeah,
bright
whatever.
note- Yeah, it's all good. No, we're at an hour and a half. Is usually our good threshold.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Any
have
parting
dinner.
thoughts? I mean, I guess we're gonna try. I'm gonna try and get back on Thursday and do a little morning bro, maybe tomorrow too. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna be paying attention to the polls. It'd be great if you could get back on. You know, we got 2 weeks here, so even if it's just
Yeah.
for 20 minutes, even if it's just for 20 or 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I'd be
let's
down
try
for
to make it
that.
happen.
I,
Yeah.
I don't work the next couple of days in the evening, so it depends on what I got going on. But
Okay.
I as long as I have access to this laptop, then I can
Okay.
probably most definitely hop on for like maybe half an hour. And also, my new desktop should be here tomorrow, so
Oh,
I'll
sick.
be So I just need to set time aside for Best Buy so I can bring my old desktop and a new one over there, so that way they can just sync everything over, transfer all info and data and storage and
Right.
onto it. So it's exactly how I need it to be.
Sweet, man. All right. Well, for Stateless Patriot, I am Dieter McBusiness, and we were reminding you that you don't get change in America by asking nicely. So know the heart, but vote with the head. Talking to all you maggots out there. Take it easy, y'all.
Have a good night.